Right, welcome back to Cannon Fodder. It's like 10 to 6 in the evening here. IG, what time is it over there in India?
11:25
Right, so it's quite
p.m.
early. It's quite early. Stan, what time is it in Vancouver?
Almost 10 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, right. I'm somewhere in the middle. Somewhere in the middle. Anyway, listen, welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. Again, the first segment of the week, fan comments, where you guys religiously put comments and we go through just some of the comments. It's been a long day, so we're hoping it's not going to be a feature-length version, maybe maximum 30 minutes, IG.
That ain't happening when I come.
Nah. Listen, I control the podcast. I have the power. But anyway. Anyone's watching now, make sure you subscribe to Cannon Fodder TV on all platforms. Press the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest and greatest news right here on Cannon Fodder TV. Right, so the first comment, actually, it comes from, if I can find it here, it's related to Gooners of Vancouver, Stan.
Oh, yeah.
And it comes from Ray. And Ray says to you, I can find it very, very quickly. Where is it? I've lost it now. Oh, sorry, guys. This is like a blooper. Where is it? Guys, I've lost it.
Make something up.
Make it up, but I can't do that, man. Oh dear, where is it? Oh man, what a start to the show. God dearie me. I've lost it. Basically, he was saying that you didn't mention the rugby because you mentioned the boxing with the Gypsy King, but you didn't mention anything about the rugby.
I've said to Ray before, what is this rugby that he keeps speaking of?
I don't know. You're gonna have to ask him.
That's the one where they run around carrying an egg-shaped ball, right?
It is, yeah.
Not my wheelhouse.
Okay, fair enough. And I've got Aaron Ghosh who's saying that that he agreed with me 100% with my preview for the Arsenal versus Everton game, and he says that I agree 100% with your team, but just to remind you of your scoreline prediction, because I predicted it was going to be 3-1. I wasn't too far off.
No, not at all.
3-2. Wasn't far off. He said, I'm so happy it didn't happen. I have a question to ponder. When will Mari be playing? When do you think? When do you guys think Palomari will get a run out at Arsenal? IG.
I think probably the game against Portsmouth, because I think recently I've actually read about Arteta's comments that Pablo Mari is actually doing well in training, giving 100% in commitment. And I think the last game that he played was against Liverpool, the finals of the Club World Cup, which they lost 1-0 to Liverpool. And probably he lacked game fitness, and he had a game with Arsenal under 23s recently. So I think he's performed decently in that game as well, but it looks like Arteta thinks that he's ready. So I believe the safest bet would be an FA Cup game.
Yeah, for starters anyway. I've got Apollo from 101 on Arsenal. He says Leno has definitely been more consistent of late. Could that be down to new coaching staff? I think so. For me, Leno has always been one of the consistent players. Whether it's under Unai Emery, under Lundberg, he's been our mainstay. Is it down to coaching? I don't think so. What's your ways?
If you look at what we paid for him, right, and you look at when we went out and bought Leno, it was at a time when other clubs in the league were going out and paying big money for goalkeepers. Yeah, you look at Liverpool, you look at Kepa over at Chelsea, and you have to say that. Especially if you look at Kepa, he's kind of making Bernd Leno's transfer fee look like peanuts at the moment. Less than £25 million we've spent on that guy, and he's 26, 27 years old. Goalkeepers, they don't really start hitting it up until their 30s. So he's going to get even better, I believe. There's a couple of areas that he could be working on, i.e. his distribution, but other than that, his shot stopping. The guy's immense between the sticks. I think he's got to be one of the best shot stoppers in the league at the moment. And that's probably because we've, especially under Emery, the amount of shots that we would allow onto our goal, you had to have a brick wall in between the sticks to try and keep them shots out. And luckily for us, he's probably kept our league position a little bit more respectable than what it could be.
A big R on that. Another one from Apollo on 101 and Arsenal. He says, fantastic stream, Alex. Great to kick back and listen to some Gooner love. I got my biscuits and hot cocoa and tuned in. This was for the Easy Talk last week, Friday. Guys, there's loads more of comments here, but I won't go. I think that's going to be enough for me. Can we quickly just talk a snapshot about the game yesterday, where we ran out 3-2 winners? The last 15-20 minutes, it was backs against the wall stuff, wasn't it? I think we kind of lost control of the midfield, and they were on us, wave after wave after wave. But we got the 3 points in the end. IG.
I think it was the introduction of Andre Gomez and Bernard, where they were more lethal going up front. And I think I was really happy to see Andre Gomez coming after that Son's horrible tackle. It was really great to see a very bright talent, unbelievable guy. But I think the best part was the fact that we could hang on. We did not push the panic button, though Bukayo Saka lost a couple of, I think 2 to 3 times the ball inside our own penalty box. And it was not nice to see a skillful guy like Bernard actually providing a good cross. So I think their finishing product really got, in the second half, Everton were not one of the best teams that had the finishing product, especially Dominic Calvert-Lewin. He got 2 chances, but Baird Leno's reactions were superb. I mean, that guy, if we talk about, if today was the end of the season, and if we were talking about a player of the season, 2 people only come to my mind. That's Aubameyang, one, because of the goals that he scored, and Baird Leno for, where he has kept us in the league right now, as rightfully Stan has said. And the best part of the game to me was the way Leno came back. Normally when you come up with a howler, and I won't completely blame Leno for it, because I think Richarlison was really, really athletic and acrobatic with his kick for the second goal of Everton. I really won't, because I think he saved us a lot. I think I can accept 1 or 2 mistakes, but what a solid comeback. I mean, if we don't consider Baird Leno for the player of the season, I think at least for yesterday's game, he kept us out. He bailed us out big time.
Yeah. I know you've spoken highly of him as well. Stan, really, really highly of Baird Leno, and he cost us, was it like 21 million?
I think it was something like 3.5 million.
18 million pounds.
Pounds and euros, yeah. But on reflection, looking at the game, one of the things that I've taken away watching Arsenal now this season, even under Unai Emery and then going into Freddie, is the games have been a little bit just disjointed. And what I mean by that is we have games where we look very defensively sound, especially under Mikel Arteta. The defence has looked a lot better, but then we've been lacking going forward. And then there have been other games, and I would use yesterday as the comparison, where the defensive side has kind of let us down a little bit, because I do think that the 2 goals that Everton scored, we could have done a lot better with defensively.
Yeah.
But luckily for us yesterday, going forward, our midfield and forward play was really synced up nicely. They worked very well together. So if we can somehow put the 2 performances together, where we keeping the defensively sound performances, but try to marry that with a good midfield and a good attacking display, we haven't really had any games where we've had it all put together in one. Do you see what I mean? It's either been one or the other. We've either been defensively sound or really good going forward. We've not had any games yet where it's all come together. And I think that game isn't very far away. And a run of games seeing that put together isn't very far away. So it's pretty mouth-watering prospect for me, knowing that this is going to be coming up soon, because you can see the improvements. It's just now getting everything to click together at the same time. And also to be able to carry it through for say 70, 80 minutes of the match, rather than seeing it in glimpses as well. Because the beginning of the match yesterday, we were talking on WhatsApp. We just kicked off. I went to the kitchen to get a glass of water. And by the time I was back from the kitchen, the Everton players were celebrating a goal, and I hadn't even sat down to, really start watching the game. And I was like, "Oh, you're joking! It's not going to be one of those days, is it?"
Yeah.
No, actually, Ancelotti also felt the same in the second half.
Yeah, that was for me. Ancelotti's face after Aubameyang scored that second goal. Right, it was like that for me was probably the funniest moment of the match. And if you catalogue games in a book and you wanted to look this match up in your book, that would be the picture that you would see to speak about the whole game. It would just be that one picture of Ancelotti like looking off into space.
Well, Stan, if I could come on to that, because I think much of that, Arsenal play defensively better when they play with Torreira, and Arsenal play attackingly better when they play Ceballos in that position. It depends upon the players, because you could see Ceballos, sometimes he was bailing us out yesterday, but all the work was done by Granit Xhaka. So I think the responsibility of Granit Xhaka changes with his midfield partner. When it was Ceballos, moving the ball forward was much more easier. The link-up play was much more easier. The movement of Mesut Ozil much more improves when Dani Ceballos plays. That means the attacking part is much more better. So it depends upon the players that Arteta selects. But when it's about Torreira, the midfield and the defense and the attack, there are two different parts of the pitch for us.
Yeah. So can we expect to see more of that pairing, Ceballos and Ozil in the midfield there? I think so.
I think that would be much more better, because right now, in Arteta's first 7 games, we only scored 8 goals, and in the last 2 games in the Premiership, we scored 7 goals. That really suggests that Ceballos and that midfield area is really, really crucial for making us, it's going forward and linking the attack with the defense and definitely the midfield.
I partially agree, because I did think Dani Ceballos put in an excellent shift yesterday. I thought he had a very, very good game. However, I thought in the Newcastle game, when he went off, and I think it was Torreira that came on, I thought we looked a little bit more secure in the midfield when Torreira came on. So maybe it's a thing where we have to pick and choose depending on our opponent. I don't know. I'm not that great tactically minded, but I do hear what you're saying, IG. I thought Dani Ceballos had a great game. I still want to see a little bit more of him, though, because if we are going to spend upwards of £40 million, I want to be sure. I want to make sure that we've got a player that plays consistently and doesn't play through spells. He's not going to have one good game followed up by 3 average games, then a good game followed up by more average games. I want to see a little bit more consistency. But I think that by the end of this season, we will know. We will know whether someone like Eddie Nketiah is going to make it at Arsenal, I think. We will know whether Dani Ceballos is going to be worth pursuing for 40 or 50 million pounds. Because I think that Mikel Arteta wants to see these players. He doesn't want to hide them away and think, well, if we need them, he wants to know whether they're good enough. And that's why Eddie's not gone back out on loan. And I'm very glad that those 2 players, they took their chance yesterday being put back into the team. And they paid Mikel Arteta back. Fair play.
Yeah. Kolasinac. I just get the feeling that it's come to a point where I think we need to really seriously think about moving this guy on, because it's not the first time he's come on. He's like, running around like a bull in a china shop, only to get himself injured, and the same thing happened again. For me, he was to blame for the first goal, from what I saw, when he's trying to tussle with Yeremina. I mean, he's not even looking. He's looking at the player. He's not concentrating on the ball. If he had let Yeremina, go across the line, then it would have been offside. But he's there tussling with Yeremina, plays him on side, and then they score the goal, and then he gets injured. I think it's time to move the tank on.
Yeah, he gets injured and they call him the tank. I don't know what. I don't know. It's filled with water, maybe. See, I think somebody in that management has to do the dirty work. I mean, you got to speak to Sead Kolasinac without making him angry. Just politely speak to him. Please find a Bundesliga club for yourself or any other club. I think it's time to move on with the likes of Bukayo Saka, who's rising defensively as well. Though little, he needs to develop, yes, but attacking wise, he's way skillful and way better than Sead Kolasinac.
Yeah.
I think yesterday's performance. I wasn't really thinking tank. There's another word that rhymes with tank, but it's got a different first letter. Was more of what I was thinking. But the thing is with Kolasinac, right? There were times this season where he's looked really good. There's times this season where I've seen him do things and he's looked like he's actually improved. I can't remember what there was a couple of games where I've seen him like pick up the ball and come dribbling into the opposition penalty box. Almost like a Brazilian, almost like he had a Dino on the end of his name, and then lay the ball off. There were times when he's looked so well improved, but there's also been this spate lately of him getting injured and going off. And had he had a bad arm injury before? Was that one of the injuries that happened to him before? Was it his arm, his shoulder? Because I think it was, and if you land on your shoulder after you've done your shoulder, it's very easy to put it out again. And I understand that. And he did land very top heavy, onto his shoulder. But there was another time where he went off of his ankle, wasn't there? I can't remember the game we were talking about. Right. It was as soon as, he was on the ground rolling around. And as soon as he saw that his number came up, he literally jumped up and ran off the pitch. And I was like, I think we had a bad leg. He was off like the flash. So I'm not sure what's going on with him, but it's a worry if he's out, because as much as I love Saka, did you not notice how much his form dipped in the second half?
Oh, but he was knackered, wasn't he?
Well, exactly. He can't be doing it every single game, because there were a couple of instances yesterday where Saka nearly cost us a goal. He made this one backward diagonal pass. We moved the ball all the way up the pitch in the second half. The ball came out to Saka, and he literally turned his back away to the goal that we should be attacking, and just made this backwards diagonal pass all the way over towards the right back area of our pitch, and it didn't come off. The ball popped out to one of their players, and then he put us under a lot of pressure. And I didn't understand why he did that, whether it's just a lapse of concentration, but it's a worry for me that there isn't cover there in that position. Because as much as I love Saka, he's not. He's a young lad. He does need to be taken out of the game now and again and be given a bit of a rest. And I'm worried that there's no one there to come in and cover. Then again, we have bought that new guy Suarez, right? But I don't even know if he's fit enough or what.
But even Xhaka could probably play there as well, can't he? He's played a couple of times at left back. So, but yeah, I'm worried. I don't want us to burn Saka. He's been one of the great wonders, of this season.
Yeah.
Kolasinac. Mate, don't rush back. Just take your time. Take your time.
I think if I could come on it, because I think I think it's been probably more than a decade that we've had patchy players who are shining in a single season, and probably the next season they are like the worst players in the pitch for us. And I think we as Arsenal fans, we deserve better. We deserve Aubameyang. When someone says that, oh my God, Aubameyang can get a very big club. Yes, surely, but we've deserved a striker who's won the Golden Boot last season, who's on top of the goal scoring charts this season already 17 goals straight away, and he's got a lot of games to go. Yes, we deserve a player like Aubameyang. And if you go and check Lacazette, this season, hands down, not one of the best players. Last season, he was unbelievable, the greatest provider of assists for us. Maybe whatever we got, we've deserved it, but we deserve more, much more better. And most probably, I think, let's see if Mikel Arteta, we believe in the management for now, but let's see how things happen.
Yeah, guys, were you surprised not to see Lacazette play yesterday? Were you surprised?
I was. Not come off the bench for maybe the last 10 minutes. Like when you've got a striker that's trying to find a bit of form. Like how he came off of the bench and managed to find something, make a goal for himself in the Newcastle game. I thought I'd be seeing a little bit more of that to help him get his confidence back.
IG?
I think more of it completely depends upon the work rate. I think since his injury return, I'm not seeing Lacazette providing that same work rate what he used to provide earlier. I think he was an unbelievable workhorse. He was unbelievable. But I don't think so. I've found that, and I believe if he's going to take his time, if Arteta wants the best 11, no matter whoever it was. I think he played Leno in the Europa League game. Leno played the Europa League game since I think it was 2018 group stages. That's what the last Europa League game for Leno, and he came back to Europa League because he felt Leno was the best player compared to Martinez, and that's true. And I don't think so Emery did that.
Yeah.
So it's pretty much clear for Arteta. If you're the best, you'll play. If you're not, you won't.
Absolutely. Guys, let me quickly go into the chat. There's been a few comments there, one of which is from Joshua Stark, who says, "Hi, guys." Then one from the new improved Glenn, who says, "Hi, Alex Stan IG. Question: do you guys think Orban needs to rest? He's played 90 minutes every single time."
Rest? They've just been to Dubai for a couple of weeks, right? It's true though, right? They have, right? So the players have had a rest. They've had 2 weeks mid-season break. They should
So
be
it's a no then, Stan.
and Aubameyang was taken out for 3 games to suspension. So I think he'd probably be the last guy that should be looking to rest.
Yeah. Okay. Aaron Gosh says, "Do you think the Arsenal defence does not naturally go into aggressive tackles? I've noted that in both the cases when Everton scored, they had their hands and legs all over the place."
I think they don't, and when they do, they give away a penalty. That happened against Liverpool. That happens against Liverpool, against Salah. That happened against when Chambers did that to Zaha in the Crystal Palace game. So I don't think so. If they can't, don't do it. Don't simply concede a penalty. Let the opposition players finishing do the job. I think they might be, they might be worse finishers than our defending.
Yeah,
I think that question raises a good point because I have noticed recently in our games that when we're in a situation and our defenders are trying to get the ball off of one of the opposition's team nearer to our penalty box, they're either going in for tackles with their hands behind their back, trying to tackle, or they're coming in with their chest, with their hands in a star motion to say, "I'm not touching anybody." And it's kind of like, I can understand we've given away so many penalties that nobody wants to be that defender anymore.
yeah.
Because there's so much hard work being done in the team, and there is a rebuild going on. Nobody wants to be the one to make that bad mistake and to give away a penalty. No one wants to be that bad guy because, well, they know that our fan base is going to like roast them on social media for it, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of affected their game because they still have to make tackles, but they're making half-hearted tackles by, well, I want to tackle, but I don't want to bring anyone down, and I don't know where to put my hands, and I'm using my legs, and I'm not using my legs. I think it's like it's a bad situation for our defenders at the moment. It's like tackling is just something that we don't want to be doing at the moment.
But is a concern for you guys?
Yeah.
I just got the impression that he's looking a little bit scared, a little bit tentative.
Yeah, it's a big tackle because while you're doing that, while you're tippy-toeing around the attacker, he'll just probably maybe run around you and get a shot off, or lay the ball off to somebody else coming in, whereas we haven't done anything decisive to work the ball away from the opposition. So it is a worry. But then, I mean, this is something that Mikel Arteta is going to have to get to grips with on the training pitch, because as much as I'm very pleased about the game against Everton, we could have done better with the 2 goals that we conceded off of those set pieces, I think.
Yeah. IG, do you want to say something?
I think in terms of tackles, I think I've seen Kieran Tierney do a lot of tackles rather than any other defender for Arsenal. I've seen him do a couple of times, and I think I think yesterday I saw Jibril Sidibe do that. A couple of times, or probably more than that. Very less defenders in the Premier League actually go for the tackles. I see that Sheffield do that, Sheffield United do that. So very very less actually do that. But the problem is, I think we've not been lucky in terms of the referee decisions. In terms of we've not received a lot of penalties, a lot of goals actually chalked out because of the VAR. So I don't think so. We would be lucky enough to get those penalties if we were in that situation. But most probably, I think the timing of the tackle is much more important, and I don't think so I can expect a lot from us, Luiz and Mustafi, than the good that they're actually doing. So I don't want anything more. In terms of doing good, probably they'll probably go and harm our defense more.
Okay.
Just one point there as well, as we're talking about our defence, and especially if I look at David Luiz, it's amazing that at the moment Arsenal's best defender, centre-back, is a defender who's not actually known for his defending.
Yeah.
And that's our best centre-back at the moment.
Well, Fabio Cannavaro wants to know your location.
Right, moving on. There's some more comments here in the chat, and goes on to say that set pieces that resulted in the first Everton goal was a result of needless foul by Ceballos. I didn't really. Was that what it resulted by?
I think it was untimely. It was untimely though, but I think most importantly, I think compared to Luiz and Mustafi, I think Mustafi is much better in aerial duels, because that was a very, 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 very bad clearance of Luiz. He should have done better, because if you're taking a set piece, if someone's taking a set piece, the first touch, when the first time the ball is, you've got to get that. If you don't get it, probably you're expecting a goal straight away, because your opponents have actually seen that ball and they're ready for it. That's what Calvert-Lewin did.
Yeah, took advantage. A point we spoke about earlier on, Carlito Elguna says Saka desperately needs a break. Xhaka can play at left back, maybe in a back three. Stan?
I don't want to see Xhaka at left back. I'm sorry. I don't want to see that. I think Xhaka struggles enough in his natural position, so I don't want him to be in an unnatural position. You know, he's just beginning to get good graces back with the fans, right? You know, he's beginning to.
Sorry, Stan, IG's laughing. IG, what are you laughing for?
He's talking that about one of the best midfielders in the recent times. I'll lose it, my man.
Sorry,
why would you want to put Granit Xhaka at left back? Seriously, though. I mean, you know, he's just about being able to be a footballer in his natural position. So, not for me.
Not for you. All right.
That's like saying, should we put Mesut Ozil in goal?
No. Carlito says, I was surprised we didn't see Martinelli, not even on the bench. Stan.
Is that thing still on?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Martinelli.
We've got enough money in a tin, IG, for us all to go on an all-inclusive holiday to Hawaii. That's how much we've collected. We're all going to go at the end of the season.
Oh, dearie me. And next one from Sanjay Joseph says, anybody on reaction of Ancelotti? Yeah, we spoke about it at the beginning, Sanjay. Oh, dearie me. Yeah, and again, who's watching, I've got Stan the Man or Stan the Geezer and IG for fan comments. Just been talking about Ancelotti. Yeah, that reaction. Yeah, Ketia. The game yesterday. But yeah. Make sure you subscribe to Cannon 4 TV on all platforms. And as well, go over, have a look at Gooners in Vancouver. Stan the Man and Mike as well, who is in London. Is he still? When's he leaving London, Stan?
I think he's back for the next game. He's been there for 2 games now. He watched the Newcastle game from the 10 pins, but he was lucky enough to bag a ticket for the Everton game. And looks like he had a great time. I mean, you got to think as well, to fly all of that way to catch a game. So glad that it was glad for him that he got a win, right? You know?
Yeah.
And he's such a performance as well. So fair play. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, check out the Gooners in Vancouver reaction.
There you go. All right, just a couple more before we wrap this one up.
We've not really mentioned Eddie, have we?
No. Yeah. What do you want to say about Eddie?
Fair play, well done. You know, I've always been a little bit worried that I'm not sure whether Eddie Nketiah. I don't know if I can look to a time into the future and see Eddie Nketiah as our main number 9 playing for Arsenal, starting week in and week out. I'm not sure about that yet. But if he's going to be able to continue to take the chances that he's being given in the manner that he has been, especially what I saw in the Everton game, then maybe he has that opportunity. Maybe he will make it that far. And I'm really happy that, rather than keep sending him off on loan, we have him back for a pre-season, then we send him off on loan. I'd rather we know now whether he's got what it takes or not.
Yeah.
We shouldn't hide and skirt around the issue. We should know now. So if he's got what it takes, great. We keep embedding him into the team. If he hasn't, we sell him and make some money.
Yeah, that's a good point. We need to give this guy a chance. I'm not sure how many consecutive games that he's played for Arsenal, but if you don't play him, we're never going to find out. And so far, guys, he's done relatively well. I mean, and I know he should have scored a second goal, but he's repaid. He's repaid, the faith that Arteta has put in him. So
I think this is probably the first time that he has started 2 consecutive games on the first team, right? I don't know. Not for the first team. I've never seen him do that before.
Is that right, IG? I think you're right. Yeah.
I think yes. I think he's always been the English Giroud for us. Super sub off the bench. He's always been that, because that's what the role that he's played at Leeds as well. So it's great to see him. I think it was a poacher's goal. I think he poached that, and I think he reminded me of Thierry Henry as well with that finishing.
Yeah.
One of those goals. It was unbelievable. I mean, you could see Robin van Persie do that, because flying goals. I mean, you need flying strikers. I won't see Lacazette do that. I will not.
Yeah. Okay, just a couple more. Xhaka looks comfortable when Saka plays, and not same with Kolasinac. Yeah. I just get the feeling with Kolasinac, I think we probably need to think about moving him and the tank onto another team. And then he also goes on to say Xhaka has played left back before. Yes, he has. But like Stan says, ideally we don't want him playing at left back. That comes with some kind of liability when he's playing at left back. But he's done relatively well when asked to play at left back.
Well, we've spent money. We've got Cedric, haven't we? Cedric can play there.
Say again, Sam?
Cedric Suarez can play there. So we're not really short of that, are we?
IG?
Well, most probably he's preferred as a right back, but I think he can play as a left back as well. And I think he's returning to his injury. I think February end is the time when he's going to be back. So I think he's there in the training as well. Or if you don't want to burn out anyone, Ainsley Maitland is ready for you.
Yeah, good shout.
Just a quick one there. You mentioned Ainsley Maitland-Niles. Is there a reason why he's not even making the squad? Has something happened behind the scenes that I didn't hear about?
Well, there is no injury as such, but one thing I can say that I think if Arteta deems him fit in the 11, probably he'll play.
Are you hearing something about attitude problem, Stan?
Well, I just saw somebody tweet something yesterday. I don't know if it was in a chat box of a podcast I was listening to, and they said something like, Ainsley Maitland-Niles has kind of made things worse for himself now. But anyway, and I was like, well, what happened? Did he say something? Has he? I don't know. That's what I've missed out on something, because it's surprising that he's not even making the squad, right, after being in and around the squad for quite some time.
Yeah.
There's that sort of like smell of a player that's been in and around the squad. The manager's taking a look, and the manager, for whatever reason's thinking, "No, I don't know if I can trust this player." He's giving him a look and come away thinking, "No, he's not for me."
Possibly.
Well, if that's the case, then we should sell him for 30 million to Everton, like how we did it with Iwobi.
Yeah. What happened to Theo? Was he injured?
Yeah, I think he was out injured. Yeah. Again.
Never again.
Robbie Walcott. God, dearie me. Guys, I'm going to wrap up this segment of fan comments. We've kind of gone over the time. Like I said, it's 35 minutes. But before I do, I want to say thank you very much, Stan the Man. Make sure, again, guys, whoever's watching now or at stage, go over, watch Gooners Vancouver, the lovely segment out there, really, really refreshing stuff on Cannon 40 TV. And also IG. I'm hoping that these 2/3 of the mafia and Camp 40 TV are going to reappear again this coming Friday for the Easy Talk, but it needs to be negotiated, and of course, with mafia members, they're going to want something in return. You know what I mean? Well, we'll see. We'll see. IG, thanks again for coming back on fan comments.
Always a pleasure to be here, and with Stan, I think it's much more easier to be here.
Is that like a backhanded compliment? Or a sarcastic dig? I'm trying to work it out.
Stan, always a pleasure to have you back on Caravoy TV, man.
Listen, I've missed it. I've been off for the last few weeks with this nasty cold, so it's been great to be back with you guys talking about Arsenal. And yeah, hopefully see you back on Friday.
Brilliant, brilliant. Anyhow, if you guys have been wondering who or what you've been watching, you have been watching Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.